Shalom Aleichem and Chag Sameach. Happy Passover. My name is Ali Viterbi and I'm the associate producer of the Lipinski Family San Diego Jewish Arts Festival. Passover is a holiday where we reflect on the theme of freedom. We celebrate our ancestors' freedom from Egyptian captivity, and we imagine ourselves as if we personally were being freed from Egypt. Each year around the Seder table, we ask, in what ways are we being held captive? Who in our world is still not free? What are the Egypts of our own making, the Egypts in our mind? When thinking about these questions, the JFest team and I couldn't help but remember the story of our 2012 Women of Valor honoree, Dr. Edith Eva Eger. Her story of liberation, her story of freedom resonates so much with this holiday and with our current moment. So we thought we'd wish you all a Chag Sameach by sharing once again her inspirational story with you all. Chag Sameach, and please enjoy A Woman of Valor.
סכניות זוכר, ממרחק תביא לחמה, חגרה בעוז מתניה, ותאמץ זרעתיה.
They could beat me, and they did. They could torture me, but they could never murder my spirit. Strangely enough, my experiences in the Holocaust in Auschwitz prepared me to be a guide, to guide people from victimization to empowerment, from darkness to light. Bad things, I'm afraid, happen to everyone. This we can't change. But so many of us stay stuck in our trauma, unable to experience our lives fully. This we can change. I was born into a very talented family. I had two beautiful sisters. One of them, Clara, was a child prodigy in violin, and my other sister, Magda, played the piano. So my parents decided that it's time to have a son. And guess what? I came along. I was the ugly duckling, the runt. I was very ill when I was 3 years old. The doctor put a needle in one ear, and somehow they hit the optical nerves, and as a result, I became cross-eyed. So I was teased by my sisters that I was so ugly and puny and never gonna find a husband. When they took me for a walk, they blindfolded me so that nobody would be shocked at what an ugly sister they had. I wouldn't look up because I wouldn't want people to be in a shock of my ugly face. So I spent a lot of time alone. I had my eyes operated on when I was 10 years old in Budapest, Hungary, in 1938 in a Jewish hospital, and the doctor, Klein, became world famous for performing an operation without anesthetics. I still remember that I was held down by many people and I was screaming. But the operation was a big success. And that's when I began to blossom. I was a very talented gymnast, and my mom took me to a ballet school. In March 1944, there was a knock on my door that invited me and many, many others to travel in a cattle car to Auschwitz. It's not a passenger train. It's for livestock. We are human cargo. My mom told me in the car, We don't know where we're going. We don't know what is going to happen. But just remember that no one can take away from you what you put here in your own mind. I had a boyfriend, Eric. When I was in the cattle car, he found me through the cracks and said, "I will never forget your eyes and your hands." So in Auschwitz, that's what kept me alive. I was saying to myself that if I survive today, then tomorrow I will be free and I will show Eric my eyes and my hands. He didn't make it, of course. Eric was shot the day before liberation. I will never forget the day when I was touched by an angel. The angel of death, called Dr. Joseph Mengele. When I arrived, I stood in front of Dr. Mengele at the end of that line with my sister Magda, holding my mom on one side and me on the other side. My father was immediately separated, men and women, and I never saw him again. Dr. Mengele took my mother and with his finger pointed for her to go left. I followed my mom. He grabbed me and looked me in the eye and said, "You're gonna see your mother very soon. She's just gonna take a shower." So he threw me on the other side, and my sister and I were taken to a place called Birkenau. That's where the women were taken. The men stayed in Auschwitz. So I asked one of the inmates, "When will I see my mother?" She pointed at the chimney. All I saw was fire coming out of the chimney, and she said, "You'd better talk about your mother in past tense because she is burning there." My sister and I hugged each other. The inmate said, "The spirit never dies. The soul never dies." We were both just sobbing. Not long after, we were completely shaved. My sister was the pretty, sexy one. My mom told me when I was 10 years old, "I'm glad you have brains because you have no looks." So Magda, she has her beautiful blonde locks in her palm, and she asked me, "How do I look?" And I had a choice to point out what she lost or point out what she still had left. And I remember telling her, "Magda, you have beautiful eyes. And I didn't see it when you had your hair all over the place." That evening, Dr. Mengele came to the barracks and wanted to know who are the talented ones. He wanted to be entertained. He wanted to know who are the newcomers, and my friends knew that I was the one who entertained. So that evening I was volunteered by my schoolmates and my friends from my city to dance for Dr. Mengele. I closed my eyes, and in my mind I began to hear music that was Tchaikovsky. And as I danced for Dr. Mengele, I imagined that I was dancing the Romeo and Juliet at the Budapest Opera. Afterwards, he gave me a piece of bread, and I shared it with the girls on the top of the bunk bed. I never never knew what was going to happen next, because every time we took a shower, we didn't know whether water or gas was going to come out. We were told every day that the only way we would get out of here was as a corpse. One day, when I stood in line to get my tattoo, I was told I was going to the gas chamber and they didn't want to waste the ink on me. It was very chaotic. My sister Magda was on one side and I was on the other side, and I knew we had to be together. So I started to do cartwheels and entertained the guard to get the guard's attention, and so my sister would run over so we could be together. So we became slave laborers. I survived what is referred to today as the Death March. They built a place in Gunskirchen where they were going to blow us up. That was the plan. So from Mauthausen to Gunskirchen, we walked. And if you stopped, you were shot right away. In the Death March, my back was broken. And I began to slow down, and I really didn't think I could go much further. And the girls that I shared the bread with in Auschwitz saw me slowing down, and they formed a chair with their arms, and they carried me so I wouldn't die. Dr. Mengele gave me that bread. So the verse can bring out the best in us. And if you were only for me, the I, you wouldn't make it. Oh, I was so hungry. I looked down and I had grass to eat. And even then, I chose one blade of grass over the other. So, I can't is not even in my vocabulary. Even then, I had choices, as you do now. When people say, I can't, take the apostrophe and take the T, turn it into I can. I can because I think I can. I was liberated May 4th, 1945 in Gunskirchen Lager by the 71st Infantry. When we were liberated, people would go through the gate and then they would come back because we didn't know what freedom meant. When we were liberated, I wanted to be normal. So I got married to be normal and got pregnant right away to be normal. And the doctor told me to have an abortion because I was too weak to handle it. And I said no, because I didn't want to take life. I wanted to give life. I didn't want to take it. But she was a 10-pounder, healthy. I'm so glad I didn't listen to the doctor. In 1978, my son graduated from the University of Texas as one of the top 10 students, and I earned my PhD in psychology. It was a triumphant year for us. I needed 3,000 clinical hours to sit for the exam, but I doubled the requirement. My first years of private practice helped me reframe my wound as something necessary and useful. I am Dr. Edith Eger now. I have survived. I have worked to heal. I use what I have learned from my traumatic past to help others to heal. I waited until I was 90 years old to write my first book. And now, My book has sold more than 350,000 copies worldwide. Within us, we have the ability to find meaning for all of the suffering. I told Brené Brown on her podcast in February, my name is not shrink. My name is stretch. I stretch your comfort zone so you move away from the black and white, all or nothing mentality. You know, this pandemic we are all in shock right now. This was totally unexpected and unanticipated. I told Oprah recently, we have to be able to tell ourselves to feel the feelings of helplessness, hopelessness, and not become less than who we are. You find hope in the hopelessness, and we must somehow become much stronger for it, because we are never going to be the same. So everything is an opportunity. I think it's a wonderful time to take an inventory of your life, to take stock of every part in you and give birth to that you, that genuine, beautiful you that you gave up early in life. Self-love is very, very important in this time. It's not narcissistic. Write down your favorite poems, your favorite music, things that you never had time for before. This is the time to give yourself a gift of time out. In 2010, I was invited to lecture in Fort Carson in Colorado as Dr. Edith Eger. And I discovered that that was the home of the 71st Infantry, the unit that had liberated me. So I told the young men in the room that without them, I wouldn't be here, having 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. They are their future, and that's the best revenge to Hitler. I will never retire. September 29th this year, I'm going to be 94 years old. And I'm Hungarian, and I don't lie about my age. I don't want to deny myself of all the years of hard work. I am happy, healthy, and I feel younger than I have ever been before. I feel very young today because I don't have to hide anymore, and I can just be me. And I gave up the need for approval from everyone. I gave up the need to please everyone. I get older and wiser, not older and senile. It's a wonderful time. So aging is wonderful. Don't be afraid. I will never forget what happened to me or even overcome it. Part of me was left in Auschwitz, but not the better part. You can't change what happened. You can't change what you did or what was done to you. But you can choose how to live now. You can be the person that you were meant to be. Free.
In this pivotal moment in history, we know that there is so much on the minds of Jewish women and girls. We know that between the pandemic and protests, just learning and living, there is much we'd like to say. But as women, we often deal with the fear of judgment that holds us back from expressing our true truths. This year, freedom means to me that women's voices can be truly heard, because When women and girls thrive, everyone benefits.
I think freedom to me is this idea that we can let go of the concept of perfection, that we can try new things and not be so afraid to fail. And to sort of embrace like the experience of life and doing things that sound interesting and exciting. I had some embarrassing failures, I'm not gonna lie, but I had some really exciting successes this year that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't brave enough to let's just try something else and see what works. I hope everybody's doing well and you're safe and healthy. Take care.
To me, freedom is when there's tons of possibilities in the middle of a gem and crystal show. Just anything can be put together, and that in all of life. And the other aspect about freedom is the ability to just be right here and shift into this exact moment, as opposed to I've got to do so many things at once and just running on a hamster wheel. It's really liberating to step off the hamster wheel, just like COVID taught us, and just be where we are.
Well, what's freedom mean to me? Well, one of them is getting back into Costco. Feels great. Well, I love hiking, and that's another way that I am able to experience some beautiful freedom. Here's the other reason: you get to see the grand boys play.
Free, a power of self-determination. Dom, a domain controlled by a ruler. Freedom requires moral qualities, and freedom leads to liberation and to a collective responsibility. As per the Haggadah, Hilu hotzianu mimitzrayim velo hasa bahem shifatim dainu. We together for a world of unity, love and freedom. Chag Sameach lekulam.
שקר החיים והבל היופי, אישה יראת השם.